So when you're graphing, it's just really your intuition that you need to make it flatter. Okay, so I think I've covered everything that you need to know for polynomial functions. And yeah, hopefully this is making sense so far. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Okay, cool. So let's move on to question C. Okay, we can see that this is a rational function, right? So if it's a rational function, that means you're going to have a numerator and a denominator, right? So respectively, you have x minus 1. So if it's a rational function, you need to determine whether it has asymptotes, right? Because we know that rational functions have asymptotes. So we can start with vertical asymptote. So for vertical asymptote, you can really assess that in your denominator. So the whole point of a vertical asymptote is your function does not exist there because you have a break there, right? So at x minus 1, which is x is equal to 1, that's your vertical asymptote. Okay, we do have more space at the bottom. So vertical asymptote is x is equal to 1, right? And how do I know it's x is equal to 1? Well, if it's in your denominator, that's going to be your vertical asymptote. And the reason for that is because if you have, let's say, negative 2 over infinity, right? How do I know this is approaching infinity? Because your vertical asymptote, you don't have your function existing, right? So x is equal to 1, right? And what about your horizontal asymptote? So horizontal asymptote, you're now looking at y, right? But for y, right, you first have to figure out the degree of your numerator versus the degree of your denominator. So horizontal asymptote, again, you have to assess whether your degree of your numerator is less than, equal, or greater than the degree of your denominator. Okay, so here's the following conditions, right, for horizontal asymptotes. If the degree of your, so DEG means degree, if the degree of your numerator is less than the degree of your denominator, so DEN is denominator, that means your horizontal asymptote is 0. Does that make sense? So you don't really have, so in this case, your horizontal asymptote would be 0, right? But, so there's a difference between 0 versus none, by the way. If you say horizontal asymptote is none, that's completely wrong. So you need to make sure if the degree of your numerator is less than the degree of your denominator, it's 0 and not none. Now, moving on to the degree of your numerator, which is greater than the degree of your denominator, and it's only by 1. Okay, so why are we emphasizing that it's only by 1? Well, if it's by 1, that means you're going to assess whether you have a slant asymptote.